Yeah, we rehearsed the fight scenes, but most of them were just me getting my ass kicked. Never back down. It was the sidekick, you know, the kind of guy who, he videotaped everything and I couldn't fight. So it's like, it was kind of this like wannabe kind of guy, which felt like me. American Horror Story. When I first started American Horror Story, I had no idea what it was. A lot of the stuff in it, you know, in the pilot you found out that Tate is a ghost. And in the series, you don't find out till episode 4 or 5. I love the character. I mean, in the character description, it said you don't know if he's going to kiss or kill you, which I was like, huh, that's kind of weird and interesting. And the way it was written, I mean, there's a line about you know, Indian blood, and like, you know, he was talking about the dream that he had, and he's like, I like that. And the way I did that, I remember Ryan told me, you know, years later, he was like, because of the way you said that line, that's why you got the role. And I was like, oh, cool. But I wasn't really thinking about that line. Probably season 1 was probably my favorite season, because you don't, I mean, like I said, we didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was going to be an anthology series. I didn't know I was going to be playing a different role. I didn't know anything. I was just happy to have a job and happy to have a cool part, you know, being in a show that was, you know, intense and sort of, you know, flipped everything on its head, which was cool. So I didn't know any of that stuff going into it. We do a lot of crazy stuff. I remember in season 5 when I was Mr. March, I was sawing body parts off, and then the Countess comes in and I'm like, darling, and this whole thing, and it was one of those moments where I stepped outside of myself and looked at what I was actually doing and was kind of disgusted and horrified, and was like, I've become kind of desensitized to this stuff, which is really weird and kind of gross. So it was one of those weird, surreal moments.
How is the outside, darling? Tell me about one of your recent kills.
I don't know how I developed the voice. I just kind of, I was watching a lot of William Powell for like a 1930s voice.
You and I are friends, and I feel a certain responsibility to you.
And it sort of just kind of came from there, you know. I just started messing around with it. And then once you hear it, then you start getting into it, and then you get more scripts and more dialogue, and you start to play around with that and see if it works and if it's weird or not. And it was just fun. I love playing that. Obviously, my favorite is to work with Sarah, because she's just so funny and so sweet, and you know, she's a great actress, but she can also turn it on and off. So she's very funny and sweet in between takes and on set and stuff. So it's fun to joke around with her. In Cult last year, I got to play a lot of crazy characters. Jim Jones, David Koresh, Do, we never quite figured it out, from Heaven's Gate, Jesus, Manson, that was the other one. Yeah, I got to play Manson. That was really intense. I did a lot of research on those guys. Shooting that show is absolute insanity. We should have an American Horror Story season in space. It would be cheap, because you could do it contained, you know, in the space station or ship or whatever it may be, and then there's some kind of crazy creature or people who start to go insane, and there's like, you know, you could do a lot of social commentary too. It could be fun. It could be really good. Bryan Singer had seen me in American Horror Story and, you know, called me up and offered me the part of Quicksilver. That was a dream come true, you know. I loved the X-Men movies growing up, and I was a big fan of Bryan's and all the actors and characters in the X-Men movies. I mean, I was like, yes, immediately. I hadn't even read anything or anything. He just kind of told me I was really fast, and that was it, and I was in. There's this one scene where my character runs around, and everybody's frozen, and it's, you know, it was basically just me with a green screen. I was just excited to get in there and do it, and then when they showed me what I was going to be doing, and they showed me the previs, the sequence of it with Time in a Bottle and the song, I thought it was kind of hilarious and just a really fun way to show the superpower. The cast is incredible. They're all, you know, A-list actors. So it was a dream come true working with them too. And Hugh Jackman is great. I remember we were shooting that scene in my basement. He pulls his claws out, and they're like these gross Like they're not the usual metal claws that I was used to seeing. Yeah, they're the bone claws, and they look kind of gnarly and gross. And so I kind of went, ugh, in rehearsal, and Hugh was really cool, and he was like, yeah, do that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I did it, and then it ended up in the movie, which was cool. The Dark Phoenix is going to come out sometime, I think, either end of this year or next year. It's a full-on drama, it feels like to me. You know, it's very, like the title says, dark and emotional, and it's about, you know, the inner struggle of Jean and Phoenix. We would shoot it in the summer, so you go back in the summer of Montreal. It's kind of like summer camp, you know. You just go there and you see the gang again, and you're on set, and it's long hours, and you're in some sort of weird, you know, rubber suit. But everybody's hilarious, and I mean, they're truly some of the funniest people I've ever met. Yeah, you just laugh your ass off. So it's really fun working on those films. So in American Animals, I play Warren Lipka, the fire, I guess, behind the operation. Warren's the, I don't know, he's kind of the trickster or like the shaman of the group, you know? He's this kind of crazy guy who gets off on you know, planning a meat heist, you know, where he steals meat that's left over from the restaurant that he works at. So it's like, he's kind of this fun character that is just trying to get the most out of life and to feel alive. Yeah, the film is based on true events. There's actually the real guys in the movie with us, so they intercut between the documentary and the narrative version. So it sounds weird, but it actually does work, and he uses the documentary footage as sort of an anchor, really, to the truth of the story. So you're watching this film, and you know, sometimes when you watch this is based on a true story, you end up questioning it and going, well, how much of this is, you know, Hollywood, and is it really true? And when those moments happen, it cuts back to the real guys, and you realize that it's coming straight from their mouths, and it all is really true, and how it happened. So it's an incredible story. It's an incredibly true story. Before we started shooting on American Animals, Bart, he sent us video footage. What you see in the film, he sent us, and also sent us more than that, which sort of gave us an idea of who they were and where they came from and why they did it and sort of where they were at when it all took place. But it wasn't enough for me, and I was furious that he didn't want us to talk to the real guys, which was so frustrating and annoying because, like, that's the best part. Like, he's right there. I can go to him. I can be like, hey, what happened here? And you know, it did happen 10 years ago, so I understand where Bart was coming from in terms of not wanting us to have our performance shaped by them with their hindsight and trying to sort of maybe save face, you know. So I got it, but I also thought it would have been really fun to hang out with him. In Deadpool 2, yeah, we did that cameo, and I thought it was going to be at the end for the credits, you know, something silly. So there were some really hilarious, not PG versions of him opening that door, and we're all in there doing some insane stuff. And it actually ended up being in, you know, kind of the first half of the movie, which is pretty cool. That's another dream of mine. I'd love to be a part of the Deadpool movies. Thanks for sitting here listening to me yammer on about my characters. That was part one. Hopefully in 5 years I'm still working and we can see part two.